What made you initially decide to start expanding globally?
Great question. So what made me start expanding globally really started at the very beginning. I've always had a global mindset. I've always wanted to do big things. I've got, growth is one of my highest values. So it's only natural that we would start to play a bigger game. So, to give you the backstory, when we very first started, I was just in Perth, Western Australia. Then we expanded to Melbourne. Then we went to Brisbane and Sydney. Then eventually we moved and we started doing some work over in Auckland and New Zealand. And then we expanded to Wellington. But while this was happening, I also had the opportunity as well to do some high-end business mentoring where I got to travel, and I was part of another mastermind where I was actually a keynote speaker on peak performance and mindset, but then I also ran my own. And we would pick random destinations around the world. And so we've done retreats and seminars in Bali a couple of times, Phuket in Thailand. We've done work in Hong Kong a couple of times, New Zealand quite a few times in Queenstown. We've done Hawaii. We've done like Australasia, like Port Douglas, those types of areas, Melbourne, of course. They're probably the common ones that come to me. But then I've also attended events in Cabo San Lucas, in Mexico, in London. We've done events as well in Portugal. So there's quite a broad, I guess, impact in just that work. So that's been quite exciting. Then, obviously, over that time as well, I've also released 3 international bestsellers. Now, the crazy thing that happens when you do an Amazon book is that you have people that buy your book in ways and places you wouldn't even imagine. So our books have actually been sold in over 83 countries. And I've got a full list, I think, on the website, but it's just amazing. I didn't know anyone in Tanzania, for example, and I had no idea of who was going to do any work with us in Egypt, for example. Or we've got clients that are across the Middle East or in different parts of Europe that I've never been to. So that's the nature of the internet. That's the nature of the world that we live in. So we've sort of had sort of seeds in the ground in a lot of these different areas, and we've done big events, across Australia and New Zealand, across Southeast Asia, throughout the United States, and then of course quite extensively throughout Europe. So we've already done a bit of stuff, but we never really built a territory or a marketplace in those. It would be more fly in, do an event, then come back, and Australia's always been our home based. And part of that was, when you look at your business model, for us, our business model was that we used to run front-end events like intro evenings. From there, we would deliver a great experience, and then we make an offer to come and join us for a 3-day live event. Now, when you go to a city, let's say, for example, I travel to Budapest, and I haven't been to Budapest, but let's say I had. Fly to Budapest, run an intro event, sell an event, a 3-day event. Now I've got to go back to Budapest to do that 3-day event. Or that client's going to have to fly to like a hub, maybe, for example, London, to do the event as well. Well, it just creates friction. And so if people see you in that city, they expect you to come to that city and do that event, or at least that was my mindset. So we were always limited in scaling our impact because our business model was predicated on the idea of running a live event. And so, yeah, you could run a live event anywhere in the world, technically, but to make it all work worthwhile, and the team and the money and the events and the costs and the flights and accommodation and all that stuff, you really want to make a commitment to a territory. And so it was very much the case of, we have so much opportunity, not enough time, not enough money to do it. That was all pre-COVID. COVID happens, and at that point, we are scheduled to run events in Australia and New Zealand, a couple of cities in both. We've got clients predominantly in Australia and New Zealand, but we just come back from a big tour in the United States. And we had a couple of clients scattered in other places, but predominantly it was Australia and New Zealand. When COVID happened, we can't run events. So now we take everything digitally. And in that process, when we started to do that, we naturally started to attract more of the clients that had seen our work outside of those areas, because we were obviously being able to run events that were virtual events as opposed to physical events. And so that really took off for us. So fast forward a couple of months, Australia and New Zealand is going gangbusters. And after a while, we've seen quite a few people in the marketplace start to copy our ideas, copy our marketing, and so the marketplace becomes a little bit more competitive. So as a result of that, we thought, okay, great, well, we've got an opportunity, we've got a really good thing happening here. Let's take that and let's start to share that and just test the waters globally. And if we don't have to think locally anymore, let's do that. So we expanded to Malaysia and Singapore, and we also expanded to the United States. And if you ask most companies. So if you go to a Fortune 500 company, you say, hey, how much does it cost you to launch a new market, and how long does it take before that new market's profitable? It's normally hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, and it's normally years before those markets are profitable. We launch new markets within a 24-hour period. Within a week, we're in profitability. So that's really exciting because it means we can take the business anywhere. Now, again, you have another challenge now, which is salespeople and finding people in different territories to do that, and obviously currency and timing and all of the stuff that goes into that, which I'm sure we'll go through in other questions. But I forgot what your original question was. Now I've been rambling on, Jade. But why did you do it? Part of it was just because it's my nature, my DNA. The other part of it was we saw the opportunity to expand our impact. Another part of it was that the market in Australia and New Zealand is becoming increasingly competitive as people copy our shit. So, we had probably a good 7-month head start on everybody, but now it's pretty easy to find what people are doing for marketing. And some people are blatant. Like, some people are legitimately marketing this same thing that we are. And they've even just copied word for word our stuff. Short of signing off from me, it's the same thing. So you adapt to the market, you find a way of adding more value. If you can, why not?